Okay, so if you're wanting to know how I got from this, my wife's name, to this, my name, I'm going to show you. Now you might hear some squeaks and things like that in the background. I'm doing some 3D printing right now, so well, anyway, that's the way life is. So here we go. Let's start with a sort of a blank thing here. I'm using TinkerCAD because, by the way, it's the simplest thing you can possibly use, and I'm a novice. So the first thing we need is a block. So we'll just pull this out here like this. And we need some text. So we'll pull some of that out here. I'm going to change the color of the text. It makes it a little easier to keep things straight. We'll change an S to a G. So we'll turn text here to an S. And then we want to, of course, spin this. So I can turn this letter upright in TinkerCAD. This is really simple stuff. If you're using something harder than what this looks like, please check out TinkerCAD. It's by AutoCAD. It's a great program. So now I've got this S. I'm going to clone it for my G here in a bit. And we'll just change that already. And what we'll do is we'll take our S. It's 20.38 high. This is how many millimeters our letters are. Now the cube is only 20. So I hold down the Shift key and expand any of these corners. Let's take it to 26. The cube has to be larger than the letters. So that's going to work out great. Let's take a top view here. I'm going to cut an S all the way through this cube. So let's take this S and make it larger than 26. Okay, just longer than 26. And we're going to, yep, that's 26 there. Then we're going to take this, we're going to put this in the middle of the cube. It's easiest to do by selecting both of them and going up and choosing the align function in TinkerCAD. Now I have to select the cube because I want it to align to the cube from the X, the Y, and don't forget the up and down, which is our Z. So I'm going to click on that as well. So now I've got this S going through the middle of that cube, all the way through. Now we want to cut a hole in that. So I'm going to double click off to the side. And now click once on the S, and I'll go up and I'll select hole. So I'm going to make this S a hole that goes through that cube. Select both of those items, and then group them. When I do that, that's when it does the process where it burrows through. Now we can take a look at it. We can see, look at this. That S goes all the way through that cube. Perfect. Now, we come over here, this back, and we'll take the G. We're going to spin it around. Click, let's do it this way. It makes it a little easier. So we're going to hold down the Shift key, so now it goes by 45 and then 90. So that's perfect. But it's a little thin. Take a look at it. It's only 10 wide. Now my S is wider than that. In fact, my entire cube is 26 wide. Yeah. So we need this to be wider than the S, but less than the cube. So let's just set this to, I don't know, let's say 23. That's easily going to be larger than the S. We're going to take it. We want to move it inside the cube. But again, doing it by hand is very primitive. Let's let TinkerCAD figure this out. We'll select both of these. Come up and choose the align function again. I want to select the cube because everything's going to be aligned on the cube. We do an X. We do a Y. And we're also going to do the Z, which is the up and down. So now we've got X, Y, and Z. done, which we know now our G is inside there somewhere. This is the cool part. If we select the cube now and say that we want the cube to be a hole, it's going to cut out everything that's not an S. We select both of these, we group, and now we've got this crazy thing that is an S from the front, but a G from the side. Does this make sense? There are other ways to do this, but this is, I found, the easiest way. So, let's move this out of the way. We're going to do our initials. I'm lucky and my wife and I have the same initial. So, we're going to go up here and grab another cube. And we'll get some more text. We probably should have just cloned our text earlier when we had it upright, but yeah, it's neither here nor there. We're going to make this a W. Let's make it narrower, obviously, because that's way too wide. That's wider than our cube. So let's make it like, I don't know, 23, 22. Let's go 22. That's easily narrower than the cube. The cube, obviously, we want to make this back into our 26 by 26. Hold the shift key down while you drag any of those and it'll maintain the proportion. We'll change the color of our letter, just keep things straight. It helps me do this in my head a little easier. Bring this upright. We don't actually have to bring it up, but I will. So now we're going to clone that because we need another W here for a bit. That's going to be our second letter. We'll take this one and we want to make this again longer than the size of our cube. So that's good there. Select both of those. Now we go up and choose the align function. Select the cube and then we say the X, the Y, and don't forget that Z right there. Let's take a look at it. Yep, it's exactly what we want. Now we'll double click off and then click on the W again and tell it we want it to be a hole. Select both of those things and group them together, and lo and behold, it burrows a W through that cube. Sure is slick. We'll take this W. We have to rotate it, don't forget. Here we go. It needs to be deeper because look, yeah, it's only, so let's take it to 24. We want it to be less than the cube, but greater than the W that's already burrowed in there. Select both of those. Choose the align function, select the cube, do the X, do the Y, and next, make sure you do the Z, which is the upward one. So we got X, Y, and Z done. Beautiful. We're now going to select both of those. It's pretty easy. Double click off, and then select just the cube and tell it we want the cube to be the hole. Now we select both and we're going to group them. What that does is it now makes a W from the front. And if we twist it around, we can see it's a W from the side. So, if we go upwards a little bit here, let's move this a little more center. Take this one, bring it down and stagger it. From the front, we get an SW. But from the side, we get a GW. You can do this with letters, you can do it with shapes, you can do it with a variety of different things. So it's really kind of slick. Also, because of where it's touching, I'd turn that W upside down and place it on the bed in order to be able to print that. Just because it would just be easier to do. You're going to need a lot of supports, so make sure you get supports checked when you send this to a G code to have your printer print it. Enjoy!